So for today, we can, there's so many things we can talk. And for me, the questions I have for you today is,
Hmm.
I know we have like 1 hour. For you, it is what the chat as what the if you go in the past, what the challenges did you did you overcome to be where you are today?
As a what? There are
I mean, of course,
different forms of challenges. So which one are you
yes.
talking about specifically?
I mean, like, as you like being in school, having like a regular life in terms of jobs and maybe like did you maybe like most people like do like military and like and how
Oh,
did you become like and they says like okay, I want to pastor for the
oh,
part
okay.
of my life,
All
like
right. I understand.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now you have to realize that in some ways, I'm going to date many of your viewers. I don't know what your target is. If you are targeting, in terms of these interviews, are you targeting college age people, high school people, and so forth? But I can speak from my own generation. And you have to realize that I myself, um,
Mhm.
I come out of a generation that was in the 1960s and 1970s.
Okay, okay.
And so our challenges and issues in some ways are different, and maybe some of them are the same.
Oh, okay.
So I was raised in New York City.
Oh, that's where you're born.
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York City. I was born in the Bronx. I don't know if you know much about the city of New York, but the
No,
city of New York is
yeah.
divided into what are called five boroughs:
Okay.
Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, and Brooklyn.
The only thing is Manhattan, of course, New York City, and
Yeah, the whole city contains five
Harlem.
boroughs.
Yeah, they say Harlem.
Harlem is a part of Manhattan.
Oh, part of Manhattan. Okay, Manhattan. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so as I said, the city of New York has five boroughs.
Hmm.
That's Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and the Bronx.
Is it like the same thing just for the start? Are you times like how we say East Side, West Side, and all that, like in Indiana?
No, they are what are called boroughs, Boroughg. And each of them has
Mhm.
its own, not mayor, but each one of them has its own president.
So technically, you're saying like how the other states are divided into counties and districts,
Yes,
and townships and all that is different from New York.
that's correct. Here in Indianapolis, it's
Yeah.
divided into nine different counties, or I mean townships. There are nine townships in the
Mhm.
city of Indianapolis, and there are five boroughs in the city of New York.
Oh, that's
But anyway, but I was born in the Bronx and I was
mhm.
raised in Manhattan.
Mhm.
And you mentioned Harlem,
Yeah.
which is where many African Americans live.
Mhm.
And I went to church in Harlem.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
the church to which I belong was located in Harlem on 118th Street. Actually, moved from there to 116th Street.
You still
And
remember?
yeah, oh yeah, I still remember. I can see it in my mind.
Hmm.
And the pastor, his name was Dr. Wyatt T. Walker.
Okay.
And Dr. Walker was one of the lieutenants with Dr. Martin Luther King.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
he worked with that whole movement, and I was much influenced by him as I was coming up. But I went to school. I mean, I lived in Manhattan, went to school in Manhattan high school, and when I went to college, I went to what's called a music conservatory,
Ah,
and that's a school
okay.
that is dedicated to producing musicians,
Hmm.
composers, and things of that sort. So not only do you get the regular college, English, math, and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
writing and what have you, but you also, in addition to that, are having music courses.
Oh,
So
okay.
I went to the High School of Music and Art, which was in Upper Manhattan.
Okay.
My plan as I was growing up was to be a musician.
Ah, so you can sing.
I can sing a little,
A
but
little.
I was actually going to be a trombonist. I play trombone. That's one of the instruments that I
Oh.
played.
Or is it like the one like
The one, no, the one that's got this long thing like that that goes,
oh, okay, okay, yeah, okay. I was confusing with that. Okay, okay, you're right.
yeah, yeah, the trombone. So, like my teacher, his name is John Clark. John Clark played with the orchestra of the Metropolitan Opera.
Okay.
So,
Oh, so wow.
yeah, so in New York,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know much about the city of New York, but in the city of New York, there's something that's called the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah,
And
I mean, like you hear about it, people talk about it, but yeah, I've never been there myself. Yeah.
oh, okay. One day you got to do it. So when you have opportunity to go to New York, be
Hmm.
sure to visit the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. And in the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts,
Yeah.
there's the New York Ballet, the Metropolitan Opera,
Hmm.
the Philharmonic Hall,
Hmm.
and each one of them is dedicated to a particular kind of music.
Wow. Okay.
Metropolitan Opera is basically an opera house that houses different operas like Tosca and La Traviata and many of these other operas. And then there's the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, and they have a whole jazz program there, but they also have classical music. They're
Hmm.
in the Philharmonic for the Performing Arts. But then also there's the New York Ballet, which houses the New York Ballet Company.
Oh.
And my
Mhm.
teacher um, played for the Metropolitan Opera.
Wow. So yeah. So is the musical school was? I know it's like I don't know even how to ask it, but was it like a part of high school or college, or it's just a school anybody can go, like
No, that's
any
college
age
age. You have to
or
have
college, college.
graduated from high
Hmm.
school.
Hmm.
I went to high school for 4 years,
Hmm.
and then after high school, I tried out for both the Juilliard School of Music, which is housed at Lincoln
Oh,
Center.
Julia. Yeah, everybody knows Julia.
Yeah, and the other one that is like it is the Manhattan School of Music. And the
Okay.
Manhattan School of Music is in Upper Manhattan.
Yeah.
Manhattan School of Music. And during the year that I was getting ready to graduate from high school, the person I wanted to study with was studying at the Juilliard School of Music, and he was the a primary trombonist for for the orchestra at Lincoln Center. But he died. And so I knew that I wanted to study with somebody of some background. So I studied with the trombonist who played with the Metropolitan Opera.
Wow, that means you have like a lot of experience
Yeah.
because
So I studied with him, and he was the teacher for the Manhattan School of Music where I studied.
okay, and is it like you're doing this, is it like because of your passionate to it or just something, let me try out, you know, it,
No, I really had a passion for music. I grew up
mhm,
in a household where my mother played piano
mhm.
and she also sang. And my siblings, my brother and sister, they both sang. So it was a musical family. And as I was
Ah,
growing up,
okay.
it just sort of like seeped into my own life to be a musician. So that's why I went to and I tried out for the High School of Music and Art. You had to try out for that school. You couldn't just go to that high school because you wanted to. You had to try out. And if you passed, then you could go to the high school.
And do you think people have taken, or many young people, or people who have gone to that music school, are taking advantage of those opportunities in terms of how it has maybe made people like a big people in our society. Do you think like a lot of people that you grow up or people you have seen now or
Mhm.
like you hear them, do you think they take advantages of those opportunities?
I think that anybody who has a passion for something and goes to a school that is dedicated to that art,
Mm-hmm.
they have something in them that wants to demonstrate that in their lives. And so
Okay.
many of the people that I went to school with, they are
Mm-hmm.
either composers or
Okay.
they are musicians
Okay.
playing for different groups, whether that's orchestras or jazz groups. If
Mm.
you went to the High School of Performing Arts, which was our
Mhm.
sister high school,
Yes.
the sister high school, it was named Performing Arts High School. And many of those kids, they probably grew up to be painters. You know,
Oh,
they
wow.
paint art or either musician or people who are dancers who
Mm-hmm.
dance in modern dance or people who dance for the ballet company there in the at Juilliard. So if you got that passion and you go to a school that's dedicated to that art, most
Mm-hmm.
likely you'll go in that area. Except that in my case, the Lord called me to the ministry. So
Uh-huh.
I did not pursue.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my teacher, John Clark, he was making a way for me to be a trombonist with the Metropolitan Opera.
Mm-hmm.
But at some particular point, I told him, I said, I think God is calling me to the ministry. So that's not what he says. What? He said, you got your collar turned around. I said, oh, yeah, man. So anyway, so it really was God calling that moved me into the ministry and not, let's say, playing in an orchestra or playing in the pit orchestra for the Metropolitan Opera.
So for you, you are called to be a minister at that age when you're still in the musical school?
Well, really, I guess it really all started when I was around 16 years of age. I came
Wow.
to know
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ as my personal savior.
Yeah.
So having that relationship was and during the people that I met, my sister who was a Christian before me and having a number of conversations with a number of people, it began to occur to me and there were some miracles that happened in my life that really led me to the conclusion that God was calling me into ministry, to public ministry.
Okay.
And so, yeah.